This is Roger with Wheel Kinetics in Tucson, Arizona. We're selling this truck. It is a 2004 Ford F350 crew cab long bed, 6.0 turbo diesel, 4-wheel drive. It's an XLT, which means it's cloth, and it's an FX4 suspension package, which means Ford installed a Rancho suspension kit at the factory. This is on a salvage title due to theft, not collision. It's not wrecked, it wasn't flooded, it wasn't vandalized, no fire, none of that stuff. Gave it a salvage title because it was stolen. The insurance companies recovered it. They don't want any future liability, so they throw the paperwork under the bus. If you want to know a little bit more in detail of why, we have a little animated video in our ads that you can watch. It's kind of funny. It tells you exactly why. It's basically lawyers. And I'm going to walk around this. I'm going to show you what's going on with this truck. My job really is to point out the negatives, not the positives. So if you pay by wire and ship, you get more than you thought you were getting and not less. So I have to be pretty careful with making sure that I document as much as I possibly know, and that's about that. Anyway, driver tire looks like it's about 20 or 30% tread. It's got a nice cow killer on the front. Little ding right here in the bumper. Obviously you're not buying this because it's a beauty queen. It had a nice dent behind the low behind the driver rear wheel. Basically folded the side of the bed underneath, which is kind of common. We see that quite a bit. On this one, instead of sending it out for paint and body, we're just going to sell it the way it is. Keep the price down. Moldings have some fading on them. And we're going to keep the price down, so we'll just leave it alone. But as I said, it's my job to make sure that you're informed. Passenger rear tire looks like it's only about maybe 10 or 20% tread. Got a nice exhaust tip. Looks like there was a couple little dings right here. Ding there. This is just going to be a cheap diesel 4x4. We're going to keep it that way. Here's your Rancho suspension. Got the light package here. Got a gooseneck. Spray and bed liner. Obviously the tailgate's got some dings in it. This is mainly, it was basically folded up from about here, and we just pulled it down, kind of. It's amazing how many of those you see in a day. That's what it looks like. Kind of got into here. Also, anyway, it's this has a little bit of vibration. I heard it go up when you first start it. This rattles because there's no brace going from here to here. Usually there's a brace from here to there. So you get a little bit of a vibration noise when you first start it, and then it goes away. I made sure that noise I heard was from that and not something else, and that is indeed what it is. See if I can hear it here when I start it. No, don't hear it. 157,944 miles. I'm going to look under the hood. I'm going to show you where all the Ford stamps are supposed to be, on both fenders and on both sides of the core support. It's hard to open up this hood with one hand. Ah, man. There's your Ford stamp there. New battery on this side. Ford stamp there. Ford stamp there. And Ford stamp there. It's got one new battery. All the stamps are where they belong, so you know none of the front parts have been replaced. Basically tells you it hasn't been wrecked. No one replaces them with Ford parts because you really can't do that. You could, but you'd pay more for the parts than you would the truck. Rear seat looks good. Gonna make sure all the stuff works. Windows and blah blah blah. Anything I see that needs to be. Nothing going on there. Just a truck. This would be a really good work truck, or tow vehicle that you're not worried about denting or nicking up. Seats look great. Nothing really to report in this area. Door panel. It's good. There's a driver window, passenger window, passenger rear window, driver rear window. Let's try the mirrors. Out, in, up, down. Other side. Out, in, up, down. They work fine. Door locks. There you go. It's a manual seat. It had a tear in the seat. We had a mobile seat repair guy come in. Instead of doing inserts, again, we're trying to keep the price down. He just did a patch on this seat. And we figured whoever's going to get this is probably going to use it for work or whatever. Isn't going to be looking for a beauty queen. There's a power pedal switch. That's up. That's down. It's also got tilt wheel. There's that. We hop in here. Seatbelt on. Alright, let's turn on some air. Cup holder. I think we heard the radio already. Yikes.
Yeah, I got bread.
The radio works fine. There's a CD player. Air is blowing cold. Don't want to upset anybody on the East Coast, but it's Tucson. It's noon, week before the Super Bowl, and it's probably 75. The air conditioning actually feels good. There's your tow on and off. We put it in neutral, put it into 4 low. Now we're in 4 low, put it in drive. Drive, put it in reverse, reverse, put it back in neutral, 4 high, drive, and reverse. Alright, put it in 2-wheel drive. Let's turn the air back up a little bit. It's a little warm in here. Alright, let's go for a ride. Like I told you earlier, it's on a salvage title, so if you come to Tucson to drive it home, you cannot get insurance or plates unless you have the title restored. Right now it's a salvage title. It needs to be a restored salvage title to drive it home. We charge $200. We take it to motor vehicles. We get up about 6 in the morning. We have to be first in line to get it done that day. So we have to be there at 8 in the morning with the truck, and we're required to stay with it all day. Sometimes we're done in 30 minutes, sometimes it's 10 hours. That's why we have to charge you $200. 50 goes to the state, 150 goes to us, and that 150 covers those days where one of my guys is sitting there staring next to it, sitting on the curb all day. Anyway, once we have the restored salvage title, then you can get plates and insurance. So that's why, if you're going to come to Tucson to pick it up, that's mandatory. There's no other way to do it. There's a $250 dock fee. This thing was really strong, super strong. There's a $250 dock fee, and there's taxes. Taxes are 2% city sales tax here in Tucson, plus whatever your state tax rate is. So, for example, if your state tax rate is 3% and you fly into Tucson to drive it home, this is how it'll go. You'll end up paying 3% plus 2%, so you're going to pay a total of 5% taxes. You're going to pay $250 dock fee, and you're going to pay $200 to restore the title. If you pay by wire and ship, all you have to pay is the agreed upon price. I would strongly suggest you include $200 and have us restore it for you, unless you're absolutely 100% positive that you can get it done in your state when you get it there. What you're going to have is you're going to have the truck itself, obviously shipped to you. You're going to have an Arizona salvage title, and you're going to have a bill of sale from us, and that's all we can give you. So make sure that you know what you're doing before you decline, okay? Please make sure you get a deposit. Once we have a deposit, we have a deal. Until we have a deposit, we do not have a deal, and we will sell it to somebody else who gets a deposit in before you, okay? Once we have a deposit, we'll put your name and a banner over the truck at wheelk.com, and you'll know it's yours, and it's no longer for sale. I'm going to go up here. I'm going to shut my mouth for a second and stop. This is where I can get it going. This is a 25 zone, but I like to start at 0 here. Watch it shift. It's about 8,000 pounds of truck. Okay, slow down. Cops are everywhere in this neighborhood. Anyway, it runs good. Really strong. Anyway, the last part of my speech on all these videos for the last 3 or 4 months is the following. It doesn't matter if it's got 10 miles on it or 157 like this truck. This is no longer under warranty. Ford, just like Porsche or Lamborghini or Audi or whoever, they have engineers, and they set a limit on the year and the number of miles a warranty can be. Why do they do that? Because they don't know how bad things can get after a certain point, and they don't want any more liability for that vehicle. So what I'm saying is, we don't know more than the Ford engineers do. So when you buy a vehicle used, especially when they're out of warranty, you're assuming risk, okay? So if you want to buy a vehicle that's risk-free, this is not the vehicle to buy. 6.0s are famous for oil coolers and EGRs. That repair is fairly simple now. It used to be very expensive, but you can get the parts for about $600, and you can do the repair. A reputable shop can do it in 4 to 6 hours. So it's probably, at the high end, it's about a $1,500 repair. Lots of shops like to say $3,000, and those are the shops that aren't your friends. When we have people call us and tell us, my friend says it's a $3,000 repair, I'm like, well, you need new friends, okay? Because it's not. So that's what you're getting into. Now, this thing's fine. It doesn't need an EGR, doesn't need a cooler, but you know, if it ever does, which could be next week or 10 years from now, that's what they cost, and that's what you need to know about 6.0s. Could something else happen? Sure, it could. They're selling these things brand new at Ford. This truck and cloth for probably $55, $50, somewhere around there. If you need, you know, a loaner car and a bottle of water and, you know, a good warm fuzzy feeling, go spend $55. If you want to save a ton of money, make sure that in your mind you have a couple dollars set aside for repairs sooner or later. That's what you need to think about when you're doing this. This is especially so for eBay people. This is not a new truck. 92% of our eBay people are unbelievable people. The other 8% are more high maintenance than your worst nightmare mother-in-law. And we don't deal with them, okay? So please just make sure you know what you're buying. I think it's a great truck. I think it's going to be an excellent value. I think that cosmetically it's pretty ugly, and I think that mechanically it's pretty great. That's about it.